The language of this event tonight is English, so very welcoming you. We're starting it now, but we know that the space will fill up with people soon. This event is the fifth event of the so-called talk Stop for Word, amelynek szóra, which organized by Young Artists Association by us, and this is about the Hungarian contemporary art in abroad and the presentation of the Hungarian contemporary art. The first talk, we invited some of the residents of the last year who went to abroad through us for residency programs, and they were talking about their experiences, and we could get to know many different kind of residency programs and experiences. The second was a very interesting historical lecture by a Hungarian art historian about the Venice Biennial and the Hungarian Pavilion from the very beginning until the 80s. The third one was a theoretical lecture by Sándor Hornyik on critical art after 2001. And this is the fifth meetings, and I would like to welcome the representatives of the institutions, partner institutions of Young Artists Association from Prague, Bratislava, and Bucharest. This is Caroline Kriston and Michael Novotny from Futura, Zana Yakalova from Meat Factory. This is Juraj Charlie from Prague, Bratislava Space, and Simone Dimitriou from Bucharest Air. The talk will coordinated by Levente Polyák. This evening, the colleague and the member of the board of the Young Artists Association, and enjoy. I really want this evening to make it interactive, so if you have any comment and questions in between the lectures and presentations, don't hesitate.
Okay, so thanks a lot for introducing us and welcome. Here, the idea is that we'll start with a few short presentations about the institutions themselves, or maybe organizations, the structures. Also, maybe a few words about the residency programs you're running. And after listening to each of you, we'll start a discussion on residency programs. How could they be changed? What are the expectations of institutions from the side of residents and vice versa? So it's a discussion that aims to create this, the institution of a residency program. To make it better. Okay, so maybe let's just start with the presentations and then we'll go into discussions later. So, would you start, Juraj? And if you don't see Juraj,
yes,
he said he's
still here. Don't worry, even if you don't see him.
So from Bratislava, from space. This is not his slide yet. Should we start with mid-factory?
No, Juraj, tam máš tam v záložke. Na záložke tam máš presne tam.
Jo.
Oh. It's gone.
The mouse is kind of not happy.
You can put it on this on the book.
You can use this one.
It's
right. Just put it on
the same
paper.
Oh, thank you.
It's not a lot of.
But this is not the beginning. So my name is Juraj Charny. I came from Bratislava, and I would like to tell you a few words about my... Sorry.
Maybe you're gonna put it full screen. Maybe we start with mid-factory.
But it won't be any different. But maybe I can show you.
With this it was working quite well with the small one.
And now you go on the mountain.
Maybe this one will help. Yeah?
Huh?
Yeah. Okay. One more. So the space started in '99 as a non-profit gallery in a city center.
Just click.
Click on the mouse.
Button and then.
Yeah. Play button and then.
This is one file,
Will
right?
it work?
No, it's better file with many.
Oh yeah.
Ah, okay.
But now it goes.
Now it's. So we started in '99 in the former air raid shelter underground. Our sponsor was advertising agency, which had a seat in this building. The mission of the gallery was focus on a young, experimental, innovative art. Since the beginning, we started to work on international collaborations. So approximately 2/3 of our program was international. The space of the gallery was kind of white cube with no windows, very good for site-specific installations, new media art. But in '99, to purchase one beamer, it was like, for actual prices, something around 10,000 euro. So even when I was as a curator focused very much into new media art, I couldn't present or build the exhibition. So we were traveling a lot at the end of '90s to Budapest, where new media art was much more developed than in Slovakia. This was interactive installation of Milan Mikula, and maybe I will just go through some images to show you how the space looked like. This was an exhibition of Beoti Balázs we made. Azoro Group, their famous project, Everything Has Been Done, where you probably know where artists are discussing that everything already has been done and we have no future and we can't do anything anymore. At this location, the space was running 7 years, and then we moved to beautiful historical location. This is already the last space. This is the last space where the space closed on October. So at the moment the space doesn't exist. I will show you how it will look like soon. And I will show you where we started residency. This was the exhibition space we were using last 2 years.
And just a question, do you still support it by this advertisement?
No, it's finished after 7 years. It finished after 7 years in 2006. So we got the space for free at the beginning, and then we started to fundraise, get some European funding. So at the moment it was more independent. And here I want to show you the future. This is how the space will look like since May. I decided for a much smaller gallery, which we want to place in the city center. I was always dreaming about windows where I can communicate with audience, because it was quite difficult. The last gallery was a really huge, great white cube space, but it was very difficult to attract audience to visit the gallery. And because of some financial difficulties, I decided to close the gallery, so I'm going to start again in May in the space of a container, which will have half window, half walls.
Sorry, and where should this be exactly?
Sorry?
Where should this be exactly?
It will be under the new bridge.
Really?
It will start and it will move to the summer beach, which will be located in a park near the Danube. And during the summer, and then it will go to Pohoda Summer Music Festival. So I will show you also some JPEGs about our wandering gallery nomads. Here's some selection of some curatorial projects which I wanted to start my presentation with. This Trabant. It's a residency. It's the first residency we did with a space. It's called 24-hour residency. It's made by Serbian artists Vera Večnčanský, Vladimir Nikolic and Zsolt Kovač, and they were criticizing residency programs, and they said that it's horrible that artists, if he want to survive and he want to make money for production of his works, he must move out of his city, live somewhere else where he don't know the system, he don't know people. So they compressed this residency to 24 hours, and during this period artists couldn't leave Trabant Kombi. I think it was called Trabant Limousine. And this was our first project we did in Trnava in occasion of one exhibition. And at the end of the residency, this big procession came to the center of and now I wanted to show you two public projects. This first was Billboard Gallery Europe. We made with partners in 14 cities. And second was Wandering Gallery Nomad Space. We bought this car and we were traveling around different countries, and we were visiting summer music festivals, theater festivals, film festivals, where we wanted to present contemporary art for different public. So at the moment, here we were parasited in front of National Gallery at the opening of 80s, where we were exhibiting some artists which were missing in the Slovak National Gallery. So it was kind of parasite structure, which we parked on different locations. This was in Pohoda, the biggest Slovak summer music festival. This was a performance of Richard Feiner. And here are some JPEGs from our residency lab. The first resident was Tanja Ostojic, and we decided that we will not name any other residents, but in this case we appeared in front of really difficulties, because we decided that we will make a residency different way than it is done everywhere, that we will really pay attention and we will help artists to work on his project, we will be in daily touch. And this residency apartment was next to our office in a beautiful villa in the city center. But we soon realized that with Tanja Ostojic it will not be very easy, and that our first residency gave us really lot of trouble. It made a lot of troubles. So it was in 2006. Since then we had many residents. It was much better with all of them. I just wanted maybe name some Hungarian residents like Marta Rácz, Szabó Zachar, Peter Szalai, Julia Večej. We had, of course, approximately from 6 to 10 residents per year. Last year we rented a bigger apartment, so we had parallelly 2 residents. But sometimes this was the first residency house we had in the city center of Bratislava, where we started with Tanja Ostojic. So then we moved, we rented another apartment, and we realized that we are not only running a residency program, but we should call us that we are space dating agency, because one resident was already married in Bratislava, and this is the result. And another resident also moved, or he's not married yet, but so sometimes it's not only about art relations, but it can change all life than such a residence program. So. And the last resident, which is at the moment in Bratislava, is Viktor Kotun. And during the last year, I was trying to redefine how the residents are operating, because they had the apartment where they were living, two of them. But it's always, I was thinking how to connect them more to art scene. And with Viktor Kotun, I made experiment, because I rented a room in a house where other 5 Slovak very experimental artists are living. And Viktor Kotun is very happy because they already started some collaboration with them, and they immediately introduced him to art scene. So I realized that maybe this is the very good way how to run a residence, that the resident live somewhere with other artists. But of course it was accident that we were lucky to get this room for him. So this was just, I don't know if I spoke more than 7 minutes, because I have many things to tell you about. This was some chapters from Crazy Curators Biennale we are running in Bratislava. Maybe you can take this one last catalog.
We'll fight
so
for
you
it.
have to throw into the public, you can see it in place, no?
Maybe, I don't know if you will give us some questions about how residents are here. So this is just a short introduction.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So please formulate your questions for later.
Yeah, so maybe I continue the row. So me and Caroline, we are here from Prague, from Futura. I will not use this, I will show you like on my iPad, because I'm scared of this thing. You can also take our publications, we are a bit outdated, but you can still find some info. So we have not changed any spaces for about 10 years now. Futura is open in 2003. It was founded by Italian architect and mercenary of art Alberto Di Stefano, who created the structure, and we have different activities. So first is the Futura Gallery, this is the picture. It's like this, it looks like it is in the yard of the building, and basically it was the 3 floors, which are merging from white cube to a more site-specific brick space. It used to be a workshop for molds. Yeah, so maybe I can show you this. So there are some really like white spaces, or there are some more restored. It was actually the architectonical project of Alberto Di Stefano. He always, when he works with reconstruction, he always leaves the traces of time appear. So it has 3 floors, about 1,000 square meters, and we are at the moment doing usually like 4 collective international exhibitions in the down 2 floor, and we are also running an independent solo exhibition program in the up floor, where we make about 8 solo exhibitions per year. From the beginning, Futura has been mainly focused on international art, so also on the Western art and generally global art. Then the other space which has opened in 2006 is Karlin Studios, which we are also running, which is on the other side of the city. It's a former factory hall, as you can see, where maybe
actually, if you take the booklet, there is some pictures for each of the venues we're speaking about.
Yes.
Like 1 page is for each of the venues, so you have an idea of it.
So in this factory hall there are 15 artist studios which we are renting for a subsidiary rent. The artists being selected by a jury. The studios looks a bit like that, if you can see something again. Yeah.
Well, should we try to put them on, or give it up?
No, I tried already before, and it's just getting crazy the most. Yeah? So, but take the catalogs, you can find it. And we are also running a 500 square meters exhibition space, which looks a bit like that. Which is the program is selected on an open call, so everybody can apply. It's usually in August. Yeah. Then, beside those activities, Caroline will speak after about the residencies, which we started in 2006. So, with opening the Karlin Studios, at the beginning, the residency artist had shown in the main space of the Karlin Studios. We have also a residence in New York, which for the moment we are doing with Visegrad Fund. So, it's open to the Visegrad for countries among Hungarians. The selection process has been just 2 weeks ago in Bratislava. It's in Bushwick, Brooklyn, the accommodation, and the artists are granted a studio at Triangle Art Studios in Dumbo. And there is also, they got quite a general nice scholarship of 4,000 euros. They stay 3 months. So every year we have 4 residents, one from Czech Republic, one from Slovakia, one from Hungary, one from Poland. Then the last activity, which is now a bit sleeping, is the Třebešíce Castle, where we also used to be doing residencies. I have to find it somewhere. But due to the finance cut, unfortunately, now is not much working. But we used to be doing like short-term summer residencies, about 2 months, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum, where the artists would come, they would stay in this space and make a site-specific work there. There's a huge garden with many of the artworks and so on. So, to the profile, at the beginning, Futura was mainly privately funded, as I said, by Alberto Di Stefano. Then, I think about from 2008-2009, we are almost totally independent and living only from the grants. Yeah, so maybe the funding will be also a topic we check. And now Caroline can speak a bit about the Prague residency program.
Yeah, because then we have the luxury to be 2 of us from Futura. Yes. I do the residency program. Just to explain, so as Michal told, there is the main gallery of Futura, which is in some quarter of Prague, and then we have Kali Studios with 17 studios for local artists. Most of them are Czech. And the residency is there, so the resident has a studio among the local artists. So it works or it doesn't work. The collaboration depends on the resident and the atmosphere. We have only run, like this year and the last year, we had only 1 resident at the same time, which is quite also a luxury because we can take care of him, we can make or her, we can make several projects, we can have some kind of assistance in the projects. And this year, from June, we will have 2 residents at the same time, so it's going to be less about personal assistance and a bit more social, we think, or we hope. More about maybe collaboration. I would like to develop some kind of collaboration between the residents that are there in the studio because they would share the studio. And what else about, yes, we work like with the Meat Factory a little bit in Prague as a cooperation from time to time. The difference between our 2 structures is that we have a smaller residency. We have, so as I said, 1 or 2 residents at the same time. They have a lot more. And we do a lot more of residency exchange. It means that we work, for example, here with the Studio of Young Artists. We work with the AQB also in Budapest. We work with Space, in former Space in Bratislava, with the Castle Ujazdowski in Poland, Via Faremi in Milan, in Italy, and some others. Now we are trying to develop also a residency exchange program with Rotterdam in Netherlands.
Yeah, so just to also say that we were not only focused on the Central Europe. We have also done Palestine, we have done many other places around the world. Always on the exchange model, there is no exchange of money. We send artists, they send artists to us. So it's very important. This is what we keep strictly.
Yeah, because, for example, last year we had 1 resident from Moldova. And of course, a resident from Moldova cannot have any grant. So it was our choice to take someone and finances the whole residency for her because we believed it was a good work. She had a small exhibition in Kali Studios, and for each resident it's an individual work. We have projects that are really depending on the resident and what he wants to do. So we have sometimes exhibitions with them in our main gallery space in Futura, in the solo exhibition gallery. And sometimes we do a smaller exhibition in Kali Studios, sometimes we do artist talks. It depends what we can do with him or with her. And basically that's how it works.
Also, maybe one thing to add to it, that at the beginning, when the Futura residency started in 2006, it was really structured like a time to work. Even though at the first 3 residencies the artists show in Karlin Studios a solo show, then after there was only open studio. So there was no pressure for the artists. They could have just spent the 3 months working doing anything. The problem that with the kind of changes in the funding and also with the general shift in the residencies around the world is more and more focused on giving results. Having presentation, talks, meetings. You have to fill all those forms, how many activities there have been proceed. So the kind of compromise we do, that actually the artist has this this artist studio, which is a white cube, which is also used as an exhibition space, and at the end he shows something for one evening. It can be for 2 weeks there. It can be just he shows some old videos or just a computer. Yeah, but there is a certain kind of event. It's not only like there is a little of pressure, but still it's not totally like that. You will be pushing the artist. You have to work. So this also may be another topic like we do. Anyway. So
yeah, that's a very interesting topic. That's something that we have been doing. But maybe I'll try it.
You can switch.
Yeah.
What is the structure
Thank you.
of your institution and responsible for the...
So, sorry, I didn't hear very well. You ask who is the...
I'm asking what is the structure of the Futura, your institution, and if you too are responsible for the programs and for the...
yeah, basically,
yes,
sure. So basically, I'm the curator of the Futura Gallery, so I prepare the program of the Futura Gallery. So I'm responsible for the Futura Gallery program of the solo exhibition and collective exhibition downstairs, which I discuss with the founder, Alberto Di Stefano. Then for the other activities, for the selection of the residents, and not New York, but for the Prague residency, we are all the people involved, which means me, Caroline, Klára Adamcová, who is the production manager of Kalin Studios, and Alberto Di Stefano and Eugenio Percosi, who are the founders of Futura. We are voting democratically. As much the same for the open call in Kalin Studios, so for the exhibitions which will be selected. For the New York residency we discuss, but there has to be only one who go there and vote, so it's generally me, and I think that's it.
So until it gets loaded, hopefully it does. Maybe not. Okay. Well, basically, okay. Now, how do I do this? PowerPoint. I am the worst.
Slideshow.
Just
Slideshow. Go right. Slideshow play.
in place. Okay. The Meat Factory is actually an institution that is quite different from probably from all the spaces that are here. We are not only let's say a gallery and a residency program or an exhibition space, but we are a combined center for contemporary art. So that means that we have a theater, we have a residency program, we have 3 galleries or 3 gallery spaces, and we have a concert hall, which is, I think, quite different. This is how the building looks like, and we have been here in this building since 2007. Originally, the Meat Factory was founded by David Černý, who is a Czech artist. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe not, but not only, but also Alice Nelis, who is a film director and playwright, and David Koller, who is a musician, and they still remain in the board and make some decisions, but mainly David is still taking an eye on the Meat Factory. We originally had a huge building in Prague's quarter, Halešovice, but unfortunately in the floods of 2002 the building was completely demolished, so we started to look for a new building, and this is the result. I didn't bring any pictures of the galleries, but basically we have 3 gallery spaces that are closely connected to the residency program. One is the Meat Factory gallery, where we try to focus on international art put in Czech context. Let's say we try to put Czech artists together with international residents or with international artists, and we try to do curatorial exhibitions there. Then we have Kostka space or Kostka gallery, which is a small space. The program is combined, and we either present works from the open call. The open call is each year around August, so feel free to apply. And half of the exhibitions there are residency exhibitions. And also we have a gallery wall, which is one of the walls in the Meat Factory, the one that you don't see. And we try to focus on graffiti, street art, and or contemporary painting, but in large scale. Also, maybe I would say that we are the most pop arty space between all of these spaces. And the Artist in Residence program is something that used to be at the core, or it still is, but it was the original thing that David wanted to establish in Prague. Now and today, these are the halls where we operate. This is how the space looks like. This is how the studios look like. And we operate within 15 studios, and we are mainly focused on incoming artists, so we don't send as many people out as we invite people in. We don't work as much with exchange programs as Futura does. We have contracts with several funding institutions, with Mondrian Fund, with embassies, with the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy, for example, allows us to bring each year one American resident. We have a contract with French Institute, which is our first or one of our main exchange residencies. We bring in one curator and one artist, and we send one curator and one artist to France. And we bring 4 German artists in, and so on. Approximately 25 artists come per year to the Meat Factory and stay there and work there. Basically, the space is very much connected to what's happening in the exhibition program. So along with Karina Kotova, who's the curator of our galleries, we try to combine somehow the exhibition program with the public presentations of the residents. But since we have too many residents, we try to focus a lot, let's say for the past 2 years, on open studios or different kinds of presentation than only the exhibitions that would represent the work. Also, I think maybe I'm done, because I could go on forever, but that might take very long. This is the old picture of the gallery, and we now have new floors. So these are some of the old exhibition program projects. This is previously when the building was still in a very bad shape. We could do these kind of projects. Okay, yeah.
Thanks. You maybe want to sit here.
Yeah, maybe I want to sit.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. No, I think it's good. Hello. I am going to first try to. So I should speak about as fast as possible about several things. First of all, yes. First of all, about Bucharest Air. I am a newly addition to the Bucharest Air residency in Bucharest. This residency started in 2010. It is an artist-run residency. And it's basically the only one functioning residency program in Romania. It is a program that works on a collaborative basis. The residency has collaboration so far with financiers from different countries in Western Europe, basically. So it has been more of an incoming residency so far. There have been people from Holland, from Italy, from Austria. We are now developing a collaboration with a project space from London, and this will be an exchange residency. And we are interested in to becoming more of a, let's say, also exporting unit for artists and collaborate both ways like that. What is interesting about Bucharest Air is, first of all, its location. I don't know how much of this is a Google map. I will try to explain a little bit what happens here because it's not very obvious. I will not try to look right now on Google Map for the residency. It is in the outskirts of Bucharest. It is a little house with a garden, and it is in a very, very interesting from a social and urban point of view place. What you see here with an A, it's the Red Dragon, which is a mega mall, a Chinese mega mall combined with more than 12 huge wholesale Chinese places. It is a place where I think half of the small commerces in Bucharest come to refuel and to buy their provision and resell. So it is for somebody who is interested in urban studies or in social studies, it is a very good place. And also the little house, which is somewhere around here, this would be a train track. The little house is in a place that has a very interesting combination of small commerces, a sort of living which is on the outskirts of Bucharest, but in the same time it is very rural in a way. And in the same time, in all this solitude, Bucharest Air actually connects the artists who come there with basically all the cultural scene in Bucharest, and even more if necessary. We have made contacts for people who wanted to visit factories in Cluj. We have made contacts with people who wanted to go to Iași and do stuff there at the Art University. And in terms of exhibitions, I will show just a few things on internet. I don't think I am very familiar with. Trying to see something.
Okay.
Yes, please. No, this is a link to the artist. Sorry. Okay, this is an opportunity to whenever it will upload. These are the incoming residents, so these are some projects. I wanted to just to show a few. Bucharest Air collaborates with 3 project spaces, 3 gallery studios in Bucharest. First, I think the basic collaboration is done with Studio 35, which is a artist-run studio in center town of Bucharest, and it is a little bit similar to your organization here in Budapest. Except right now Studio 35 kept this historical name, but the organization itself doesn't exist anymore, so they just have a place and some young artists who coordinate things. And I will show some like for instance, this is from an exhibition from one of the residents, Anu Ramdas, who works with the medium of photography, and so this is how Studio 35 looks. It's not a white cube at all. It is a very, I don't know, interesting, not very big space. What this space has a really great location and a huge fan base. So basically all the openings are really fully packed social events, and the connection with the community of artists is really very, very diverse through Studio 35. This is how the place looks. This is another exhibition, also from a residency at Bucharest Air. These are two Austrian artists that worked with the city and drew their impressions of it and such and so on. The residency has a year-long open call. What you do is you go either on places like Trans Artists or on the site of the residency and you write. But as what differs from the other places is that it is a residency where you have to be aware of how the financing works. If you don't have a partnership, you kind of have to be. You kind of have to collaborate with us and try to find financing to come. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's the reality in Bucharest. There are cultural centers, like for instance the Czech Cultural Center, which we hope we can start a good collaboration, who are very functioning. I think the Hungarian Institute might prove the Polish Institute it is, but for others it doesn't work so well. The residency is generally interested in project-based work that is a little bit site-specific. So basically you have to be interested in Bucharest in one way or another, or have a project that somehow could be connected with our city to apply. Okay, and so this is Studio 35. A second project space that is now connected to the residency as well is the project space that I am coordinating, which is called the Platforma Project Space. This is actually from a presentation, a performance that has been done in my project space, our project space. A few months ago, it was a performance about done by two Dutch artists who went and researched for a project about IKEA, basically, and about how IKEA is inserted in very different social ways in very different parts of the world. And they did a presentation performance in Platforma. And also a little bit more about Platforma in a few minutes. No, maybe I don't want to do that. We started in 2011. We are a project space that is supported by the Contemporary Museum of Art, well supported in a way. We are not really heavily financed by them. We find ourselves the financement for our projects, but we have a place where we can be without rent from the part of the museum, and we also have all the infrastructure, technical equipment, which is a very valuable support. When that will open, I will also explain that it's okay.
I don't think it's a valid
I also have a PDF version of it, so maybe that goes that's better. It's also quite big, so maybe okay.
Okay.
Now everything is open twice. Okay. So it is 370 square meters of place. It is not a white cube. Okay, so that's how that works. It's a lot of information. I will send some of it. This is actually what's going on right now in the space. It's an exhibition which is done by some like really cult street artists from Bucharest, Spes and Sage, and it is an exhibition of kind of street art intervention and photography. It's not something that we usually like to do, but sometimes we are very interested in this type of, how can I say, it's very interesting for us to exhibit photography now. We haven't done it so far, and in this case we showed photography which is done by these people. I used to kind of be a street artist myself, and for some years, and I too used to take photographs of the homeless people, of the people that I would meet, and I never exhibited it because I found it taking advantage of these people. And but I think that we chose to show the pictures of these artists because they are also taking advantage of their medium, but in the same time they kind of are part of a social context that for us is good to analyze. And we opened a discussion about poverty and about other such elements in the project space. The project space is quite social and activist oriented, and it has in every year I have to kind of go through a lot of projects and only show a few of them. Like for instance this one. It has a lot of. Every year it has a special interest, a special focus. Last year it was on archive, memory, and the recent past. This year it is about social and political issues taken in a, let's say, emotional and non-aesthetical discourse. For instance, this was on a workshop called The Other Us. It was a workshop talks about nationalism and nationalistic issues, and it ended with a performance and an exhibition where we tried to build alternative flags. Basically, this happened on December 1st, which is the Romanian National Day, and it is quite a raising problem with nationalism in Romania. So for us, it was an important discourse to have at that moment, and we combine exhibitions and workshops with things like one-day performances, such as this. This was yes. It's unfortunately nothing is really visible on the projection, but anyway, this was a performance about cooking and sound, and about how actually the artist cooked mushrooms, and everybody watched. Basically, it was hunger growing and attention kind of growing, and the smells also kind of made everything really a very body experience for everybody in the audience. And at the end we also ate, which is a very good ending for any show. And anyway, one last project from Platforma is a workshop called Open for Inventory. we worked, one of the issues that we have in Bucharest is how we actually relate to the Contemporary Museum of Art in Bucharest. And it is, of course, an issue for us as a project space, but also in terms of what the museum shows and how they don't display a permanent connection and how the state of the collection is and such and so on. So we did exhibitions where we had the young artists and students actually go and work with the collection, and we did a three-part exhibition. The first one was the open for inventory one, where the whole place was actually filled with bubble wrap, and no works of the collection were actually shown. Everything was presented as to reflect the state in which the works are actually being kept, which for us is really like a sign that something has to change, and the alarm must be triggered. And we also showed. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. Anyway, this is the second project space that can be used for collaboration, and the third one is a derelict house, which sometimes is good for site-specific projects as well. In the talks, I can show you that as well.
Okay, thanks a lot. We have one remaining. I know, I forgot. So it was very, very interesting, and so we have an idea of the residency programs, and I would jump in the middle, and please don't stop yourself from raising questions. It should be open, okay? But I would jump in the middle and ask about your expectations when you make a selection procedure to invite an artist from abroad. So what do you consider to be a successful residency? What do you expect from a resident, and how do you select? How do you anticipate a successful residency? And it's a question to all of you.
Can we start again?
Like when I started the residency program, I had a problem before that artists always came to gallery just for very few days. Most of them he spent in the gallery, so he couldn't meet anybody, he couldn't visit any galleries, so he just made the show and left the next day. So I realized that the residency program should help us to spend a little bit more time together. But on the other hand, I didn't connected the residency program directly with a residence, because if I will give gallery to each resident, then I will have no time to make any other program, because we had a lot of residents. So I also realized that the selection process was not always only my responsibility. For example, in Visegrad, you can nominate your artist, but you don't know who will come. Until you see the artist, you don't know if you will be able to collaborate, because sometimes he don't look so friendly as you expected. So to give a promise at the beginning, okay, you have a gallery for a long period, it's something what I didn't want to do, because I wanted to set up my program as a curator of the gallery. And of course I was discussing with each resident, how should we collaborate, if we do something together. We always made a presentation. I was inspired when Alberto Di Stefano told me that at the beginning of residency, the residents are cooking something. So we always try to do some presentation at the beginning, but of course with some residents which were more communicative, it was easier, and they find some links to local art scene. Some which didn't speak very well English, for example, it was much harder. So and I can show you one picture of our last resident from Poland, and she invented a really beautiful project, but she made a calculation that it will cost 800 euro. All these cabins, which will be made in the one. Here are some other pictures.
Okay.
800.
And we really wanted to help her, but we realized that it's necessary to have at least 2 or 3 times higher budget. So then it was a very bad email written for us to Visegrad Fund that we don't collaborate with artists. So sometimes it's not easy to run the collaboration as artists expect. Sometimes maybe the gallery is not able to make such a production as artists would like to have. So I realized that for the selection process we have also to ask, like, for example, when studio or our partners were nominating some artist for residence, we're trying always to ask who is this artist and if he speaks English. I heard about some residencies that said that the artist shouldn't come with a child, or once a resident came with his dog and the second resident couldn't enter his residency apartment because there was a huge dog. So sometimes there are funny stories which can influence how the collaboration is followed.
About that, actually, we have an interesting collaboration right now. That's the birth of it. We will work with Rotterdam in the next month. And I visited them 1 month ago. There were an art fair there. And we discussed about who we could invite from Prague to Rotterdam. And actually we came up with the idea that we would make the open call, of course, so if somebody would apply, we would make the selection as we always do, like this short list. But they would come to Prague to actually make studio visits to each of the people we selected, so they can meet them, they can speak with them, they can see if there is some kind of possible project, because they are also artists and they are also curators in Rotterdam, so they expect to work with him, or with her again, and I think it's quite interesting to do it like this. Of course, you need the money to travel back and forth. You cannot do it if it's far away, but we make the most of the fact that there is some kind of cheap flights from Rotterdam to Prague and from Prague to Rotterdam. So I find it very interesting, and I'm glad we can do this. So maybe that's something we don't think about, and it's possible.
So it's much more about the personal contact than the portfolio.
Is it also about the personal contact, not just?
But because this is what I was wondering about, if you ever have the time really to talk about, like, okay, now there's a application procedure, people from Budapest apply, studio sends you a few people, and do you have the time to call studio and discuss, or does it happen? I mean, ideally it should happen, but is it really
but it's also a question whether it should ideally happen. Maybe not, no? Mm-hmm. Because you might prefer some people, you know, because they are close around, and some others might be excluded for this.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's also the thing is that, like, for me it's also what I currently say, for me it's mainly a meeting, and I'm happy that we have only one or two, because as long as we were 15 in the same time, you cannot meet the people. Mm-hmm. Yeah? But there is not really any kind of evaluation or I would be satisfied with the residence. Yeah, sometimes there are wonderful results in the frame of pictures or exhibition, and I'm not satisfied. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Also, there is difference between people who are coming, like, let's say, from the Visegrad 4 countries, because for them there is a certain potential of cooperation, that they're going to come back. Maybe if I'm in Bratislava, it's already like established the connection. Mm-hmm. But the people who often come from Berlin or come further, come from New York, for them it's very highly likely the one and the only time in Prague. Okay, and they are not really. For them is no reason also, like, professionally, because Prague is not the center of art. Yeah? So they go there, they make their work, and they go away, and they are not really planning to come. And anyway, there is not as much as the art scene is not really any more interested in them, because they've been already exhibited, they've been already there. So why to bring them again? You know? So I'm just happy to meet the people, and you never know how they are going to be. Also, yeah? But I'm actually quite like wondering about what you say, like this kind of personal meeting. I'm actually quite happy that I don't know who is going to come when I go to the airport to pick up the artist. So it would be boring if I would know.
You had something to say?
To me, well, first of all, the answer to the first question, what we expect from residents, or I think the expectations are on both sides, and what I have tried to do, at least for the past few months, is to really have Skype conversations with those people, keep contact, and if they're from very far abroad, if I know that they're from the US and I cannot go visit them, and at least really get in touch via Skype and ask, what would you like to do during your residency, how you want, because some people come and they want to make a research, but they don't want to have an exhibition. They want to have an open studio, or they just don't want to do anything. They don't want to show anything. And some people are very communicative and want to network more. Some people are really want to work towards the exhibition and work on that. So I mean, for me, it's important to really know what the person expects. Of course, when they come and they see how the manufacture looks like and what the scene looks like and blah blah blah, the expectations can change. But still, if they know what we expect from them and we know what we expect, if the communication is working, then it's more likely that there are no weird situations like someone is yelling at you that this is the worst residency ever, or you're yelling at someone that you're the worst resident ever.
Does it happen?
No, but it could. In terms of should we discuss with the partners, that's also a question. Like, for example, we have a contract with Mondrian Fund, and we are really, it's a process where people from where Dutch artists apply, and they basically the Mondrian Fund chooses, let's say, 10 people or 15 people who they think would be suitable for you as an institution. Mm-hmm. So this discussion here is very likely, and it's very intense because you discuss why you didn't choose this one, and the Mondrian Fund argues that they would think that it would be a good cooperation. But sometimes it's just that you choose and you say, okay, we want you. Mm-hmm. So it also depends on who the partner is, how the partner is willing to negotiate, what the aim of the partner is in the preparation.
Okay. And what about the question of like getting in touch with a local scene? Because you mentioned, for example, Bucharest. So for you, it's very important that somebody comes who's able to.
I think yes. One of the more important things for us is to establish collaborations, and the people who come to be open to this idea of collaborating and of producing. They can research. It's not necessary to have an exhibition at the end. So it's not. There can be a presentation. Of course, everything can be adapted. But more importantly, it is really a project-based residency and very site-specific. So from this point, we are interested also in this type of relationship of how others can actually insert into our very peripheric, very specific type of artistic milieu, because we don't have this type of complex funding networks. Whoever comes must know from the beginning that, yeah, you're right, and then if you are selected, then the process of asking for funding actually begins. And it is also a little bit of a lottery. You are really elbows deep in whatever makes you be an artist today. So yeah, it has to be somebody quite adventurous for this, and also quite adventurous for coming to Bucharest. Also, we expect people to not get freaked out by the fact that they will be for 2 months living on the outskirts of Bucharest. They will not be alone in terms of the people from the residency really take care of make connections. Of course, the tram stop is like 200 meters away and it connects you to the city. But you have to not freak out about the idea of being next to the train track for the next 2 months of your life and actually produce something. And it's interesting. I mean, so far people have been quite taken with this idea of
May I actually ask you a question? How the locals are reacting to the residents? Like are they interested, the local art scene, in meeting the people, or they just like they feel ashamed?
Well, it also depends from resident to resident, because some of them are quite keeping quiet to themselves in terms of how they react to the locals. But the locals, how you call them, which are usually either elderly people or small shops that take apart cars and stuff like that. They are completely open for dialogue, so they really kind of have no problem with people coming to them. Usually somebody has to accompany them because they don't speak English, most of them, in the area. I think there are like 2 or 3 projects that have been focused really on the local area of the residency alone. So there have been people that were doing just that, going to the neighbors, discussing with them, collecting things from all over the place. It can be a little bit scary at the beginning, I have to say. I mean, it really depends on how you can see things, because apparently it's a place of poverty in a way, and everything's you hear, you know, like manele, this is like gypsy music, and you feel that everybody will come one night and try to rob you, but in fact it is a quite peaceful community, and there is a very interesting contrast between what Westerners think that this place will be and what it actually is, which is quite friendly and decent.
And the art scene, the local art scene, are the artists interested to meet the coming residents and so on? Are they coming to see their events? Or?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
But they are a lot interested, or
they are equally interested to what somebody from the local art scene produced. There is no difference. Yes, because it's really just a matter of because if we do the presentation in Platforma, people that are our, let's say, scene come either way, and in Studio 35 as well. It is. I think they are also curious because, as I said, most of the projects that have become exhibitions are quite site-specific in a way. So from this point of view, also it's interesting to see how they actually produce work and what they do. Yes, they are.
So, what are the tools to create this connection with the local scene? Because, of course, it's easy to plan weddings and things like that, but easy. I don't know, you managed apparently to create real links in your residencies. But what are the instruments that happen that you can use regularly to involve people or to link?
I think the word regularly makes the problem in your question.
Yes.
Exactly. Because it's very individual. And for example, arts in Bratislava is not so huge. So if I will answer your question, I will say that there's just a very low interest but if there are 2 or 3 artists really interested in collaboration or discussion or marriage, still it's,
or whatever.
Still it's something. So I don't think like we need to say that we have like 40 people which are fall in love to this resident. I think sometimes it's the resident stays alone or his residency. Unfortunately, we have also such an example, but there.
Don't go to Bratislava. It will be the difference there, abandoned.
No, it's very individual, so I don't think we can give you our know-how because it's not a know-how. It's just
but you organize events, you organize presentations, as you said. So there must be ways to still influence.
But it is already a trademark. I mean, space gallery, and you already come. For me, it is. I mean, it is about. Maybe I'm not using the word correctly, but it is something where you wish to go, like to space or to Futura, in terms of. So it's something that any artist would want. So in a way, you can just simply sit like that with the hands behind your back, and things will happen. So in a
but
way,
some people also wish this. Some people are not into that. This is also some people just go to their studio, they work there, and then they go home and they don't care about going openings, meeting anybody. You know, it's not always. But in Prague, I must say, it's the same. The brand that Prague I've seen also is quite small. There is a huge amount of events. There are 3 openings every day almost. And the normal public doesn't go to the openings. They go to see the exhibitions, but not the openings. So we are, for example, trying to link the open studios of the residents with other exhibitions, so that there is the public which comes for the exhibition, go see the event, etc. But it is actually, I would say, about the trademark. If you have a constant public which goes to your events, then they will come, you know. But they are not really searching. Also, again, it's the amount of events. In fact, there is really a lot, and even me, I don't go everywhere, you know. I hardly. It's not even makeable, you know. So that's it.
Okay. What about productivity? So you said that, you know, in some periods the focus of a residency is a product in the end, and they have to produce work that's presentable. There has to be presentations, exhibitions, and in other periods when the funding is different, it's more an open residency. It's a different process. So how, you know, in your experience, what's the difference of the process between these different kinds of residencies? So how the experience of the institution is different in these cases?
You can start now on the other side.
I have one.
It's always the same thing. It depends on the resident. Like there are some residents, like different for the meat factory, but I will speak for us.
But the residents may say the same thing. It depends on the institution.
No, because if you have a resident who comes, for example, we had a resident who came from Puerto Rico, and he has something like 35. And his main goal, coming to Prague, was to produce painting, because he's doing like big format paintings. And he told me, okay, I'm in this stage in my career, I need to produce, and I will make the most of your studio, your space, because you have big space, and I don't have such a studio in Puerto Rico. I will produce paintings. It was the reason why he was there. So of course we did some events and such, but he had a very different goal than somebody who would come because he wants to make an exhibition. He wants to meet the art scene and everything. That's what Michal told. He comes from Puerto Rico. He doesn't really need to have a connection with Prague people. Of course, it's great when it happens, but it depends then on.
But is this interesting for you to have someone who's just producing the regular work and then? Not really.
No,
really.
No, but in his case not, like, because we didn't like really the work. Yeah?
We didn't choose him.
But the thing is, that's what I said. I mean, for me, I actually really think that maybe as much as the resident, who is really, again, in 3 months, even for us who work with him almost every day, we see him 4 times a week. It's just the period when we start to know each other is departing, you know? So anyway, the only person who is going to finally anyway relate to, and where there might be some relationship and exchange, at least on the artistic ideas, discussions and so on, will be anyway us. So even why not, with Gamaliel we could have some discussions, and there would be something which would be cherishing finally, you know? So, but I think more that this shift which I talked about before is not totally bad, yeah? But it's just that sometimes it creates events which are useless, yeah? You just like produce events to produce events, yeah? To be able to fill the forms. But it's, for example, like in New York, when you pay for a meeting with the curator. Yeah? You have to pay the curator, get $20 to have a studio visit for half an hour. But he just goes there, okay, he's going to think what he's going to have for dinner, and that's it, takes $20, go away. But they can make the curator meeting. So this is more. But at the same time, I understand it's just the challenge, you know. A lot of people does residencies. Like with the Visegrad Fund establishment in Central Europe, it became, of course, also an easy source for money. A lot of galleries just started to do residency. They would rent a cheap flat, then the artist would come, they would give him the keys, okay, see you in 3 months. And they will get €2,000 for that, you know. So of course, I understand that the institution are asking some results. The problem that they are maybe not asking the right results, you know. And also, again, those forms they are giving to the artist to evaluate after. For example, in the case of the New York residency, we do it really highly look at. Yeah? I have to fill in like 3-page form. They have to fill in 3-page form, and already the questions are asked is that they are made to actually raise critique. They don't ask what was positive. They ask usually what was negative. You know, were you unhappy or whatever? How many people you met? Name, dates, and names and things like that, which are like silly, and it just takes energy and time. And finally, of course, the funders have expectations which are also absolutely in the frame of the fantasy. They think that someone is gonna go to New York and the year after he will have a solo show in, I don't know, Guggenheim Museum. You know, which is like ridiculous, of course, because there's 10,000 artists coming every year to New York and nobody will wait for them. And it's just a great opportunity to spend 3 months there to at least see what is happening, you know. And if I pay $100 to 5 curators that I can make 5 lines for the meeting, then it's not going to change anything. You know, if the artist is able, he will find his contacts himself. You know, anyway, that's on the word. I'm not there. I'm in Prague, yeah? So that's more. But in the same time, it's not totally bad. It can be putting some dynamic that you have to do something, because also sometimes the people in the long past of Futura, they came and they were for 3 months. They were also bored, kind of, you know, or it was this that nobody was taking care of them and so on.
I forgot what the question was.
Well, I can.
Sorry.
We were talking about the different experience between residences where they have to produce something or when they don't. Also, before we talked about the ideal, resident and the other subjects.
No, I agree that with everyone here that it's really individual, because it really depends on the artist, and we have encountered several times the problems because we are among the institutions who require, because of many of the contracts that we have, we require many of the artists to have an exhibition at the end of their residency. And we have really been depressed, and the artists have sometimes been depressed about this, that they spent 3 months working on some product that they could show, or at least, okay, they can show a process or their research or anything, but still they must work towards some goal that they're going to exhibit in the end. And maybe I think this is very counterproductive, and we have discussed this with also with some partners and so on. And what Michal says, that the grants and the funding agencies, they really just want to tick the boxes and want to see the results, how effective the residency really was, but this doesn't constitute that this was a good or fulfilling residency, either for the institution or for the artist. So it becomes like this massive PR campaign. The whole residency is a massive PR campaign for the funding, let's say, for the funding agency.
And truth be told, in 3 months you don't make the best work. Generally, I mean, it's. I think the best way to approach it is to have that part, the residency, be a part of your project, something that would help, that would have a beginning from before the residency and maybe a continuation after. I mean, because otherwise you would be just ticking the box and become a cog in the system. 3 months is nothing for making a good project. Sometimes it's good, but...
No, there are painters, as you mentioned, but there are also artists which are working on site-specific or context-sensitive art. So in this sense, you never know if the artist will come with the idea. For example, Viktor Kotun made a project proposal already when he was applying for residency, so he already came with a developed project. Which he is going to implement in Slovakia, but some artists are really waiting for some inputs. The question is if these inputs are coming, if they are in a good mood, if they have to travel back home very often, especially in Visegrad region where it's quite easy, or if they have many exhibitions during this 3 months residency, so they are not there anyway. But of course we can set up the rules. We can say you must make 2 presentations, you must paint 1 painting 2 meters to 2 meters, which you will keep for us. And we can say that you will have a gallery for 2 days and you must do there some site-specific performance or something what will reflect. So we are also institutions which can make, we can set up the rules. We can say the artist, this is the condition of your residency and you must do this. But of course we are trying also to work more specifically with each artist. So if he's a painter and he wants to follow his program, then we just let him go probably. because we can't change him to site-specific installation or video artist. But also artists applying for our residency, I think, know what is the profile of our institutions and what are we more or less expecting. But it's again something that we can't say that it always works like this, because it's depend on each situation. And maybe the same artist was very successful in Prague with his project, and in Bratislava he didn't done anything. And I know certain examples, and it's just maybe sometimes also accident that you meet some right people in the right time, and maybe it couldn't be repeated with other resident or in another city, and so it's extremely individual work.
Actually, for example, we have June is a resident of the meat factory currently, and there have been changes because he was supposed to come much earlier, and he made a project proposal. But since there was these shifts in his residency dates, the proposal was completely out of date when he came, or he started to work on something completely else because the project was long past. So it's also one of the real life examples that even if you prepare a proposal and you work towards something, it can always change, or you don't get so much funding, or you require more funding, or...
So is it a failure? Or?
No, it's very successful.
Okay, good.
No, but there is no system, and there is, from my experience, it never happened that we had a very bad residency. There is always something you can take from it, the artist can take from it, even if it's not huge, like what expect the foundations to give you the money for, but it happens at some state of his career or of his process that is counting anyway, and is counting also for us. So that's it. There is no ideal way, or there is no ideal results. It just depends.
So nobody came to... It's the worst residency of my life. Okay. What about thematic residencies? So what do you think about the idea of having a thematic restriction because you want to channel somebody's work into a concept you already have? Do you think it's good or bad? Do you think it makes some extra, opportunity to the work, or for your institution, or it's limiting the freedom of the artist too much?
We are curators. We are curating the shows. So from this point of view, it's the much higher level to make a curated residency. But the problem is funding, because if you have confirmed funding forever, then you can prepare, okay, next year I will curate residence by this subject, and then it will operate this way. But if we sometimes never know who should we invite, because we must follow different funding bodies, and then at the end it's happened that you don't have a power to curate, because you are happy that you got the support from Goethe Institute or from British Council or from Visegrad Fund, and then you can somehow build the residency program for all year. But I think what you can't do is a curating, because I think the answer will be like, we can all say yes, it's much better, it's another level, but it's the system doesn't allow us to do it.
Yeah, because it's mainly, the topic is mainly national. Yeah, you have to mainly choose according to the nationality. So
yeah, but would it make sense? Apparently, according to you,
it's high level from my point of view. Absolutely.
Well, for example, what we try to do this year is that we take it the other way around. We know that we have a thematic exhibition that the curator has been working on for a year, and we invite the international artists who are taking part in this exhibition to come for a month before the exhibition and to work on the exhibition and stay at the meat factory, so that it's half like preparation of the exhibition but half residency, let's say. But we had in 2009, we had this residency, let's say, it wasn't really restricted to some specific topic, but it was an ongoing collaborative residency that it was for Dutch artists, and they came every time for 1 month, and each one started to work on the work that the other one left behind him. But this was in 2009, and to be honest, we haven't done this for a while, in this kind of way.
Okay. Maybe let's open this up a little bit. There was a lot of questions from the audience, maybe about your expectations or the worst residencies you had in one of these institutions. Or
who has ever been in the residency here? May I ask who has been ever in residency? If you may raise hands, or if he's not ashamed of it. Nobody here has ever been.
Who feels ashamed?
At least Sarah. And June.
Who's a potential resident?
There are some.
Nobody's ever been over it. So Peter is snobbing me, even though we are standing here.
There's a question from who is the potential resident, because half of the people here are artists and half of them are people from the theoretical part. And do you have maybe residency programs for curators?
Yeah, that's a good question, which I think should have been raised.
Not too many for curators. And residency programs must be built for artists, which is, I think, a good thing, but it would be also good for curators to let to them.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I think there should be more, definitely, for curators.
And
but the Meat Factory is running, and we are starting this year one short exchange, but with Italy only exchange with it.
But as this question, people on Visegrad found if I can invite curator, and they said yes. So it's called Artist in Residency Program, but they...
Yeah, but he must be approved.
The question is if he will get through the selection process. So you can invite him. In fact, curators should apply, and I'm connected with ICA, Association of Art Critics in Slovakia. So we decided that we will start to run as an Association of Art Critics residency for art critics. So, but you have AZAX here in Budapest, which is inviting foreigner curators and superstars to make a few-day research.
But they don't stay for a month.
Yeah, it's a few days. That's what I'm saying. But we don't have something like an institution in, I don't know how is it in your cities, but in Bratislava there's nobody who is inviting curators for research. So I think you are lucky that you have this AZAX here.
Actually, there is a Slovakian curator resident right now in Italy through Futura.
Yes.
So Lidia Přibližová.
But she's already kind of in Italy before, but let's not speak about it. But I also think the reason why, actually, because there is something, honestly, I actually had previously quite a bad meaning about residencies. Residencies are something which is nowadays like imperialistic tool. The wealthy nations are sending their artists to the centers of art to promote their culture. Yeah? And this is why they're also sending the artists, not the curators, because the curators are most likely going to bring someone from there back to their country, rather than propose them. But I still think that there is something which is good, and this is a lot about all this, what we're interesting, what's the point and so on. I think what is actually the best on the residencies and why it's good to go for residency is that you get out of your context for 3 months. You get totally somewhere where you don't know anybody, and you really, it kind of makes a certain shift often. Even if you will be probably there alone and depressed and nobody will take care of you and you will not see your girlfriend, boyfriend, it's good. This is actually what I believe is the only good part. Whatever the results are finally, it's good to get out of your context somewhere else, and it's at least for the 2 or 3 months, so it makes a kind of impact. Yeah.
Okay. You also mentioned about the Visegrad Fund is easy money. Okay. You just push the button and you get 2,000 euros. How could this, because of course we're also cooperating in this, where do you see the limitations or the negative side of this routine that's, maybe too established, or where do you see that?
No, I think it's super that there is a grad fund. Why not? There would not be.
No, the truth is that there are now too many residencies,
exactly.
And I don't think that the Visegrad is selecting that this is really a residency, maybe of qualitative criteria, which they are probably not really checking what makes sense, and they are trying to give money to as many institutions as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, so what would be? It's not true.
No?
They are giving money to each country.
Yes, sure they do, but it was I don't know, but it was more that now there are a lot of applicants, so maybe they are more again looking for the results. Yeah, what is the provider providing for the artist? Yeah. What is the artist? Yeah, but I also said that it was. I also didn't say that it is now. Actually, there is another thing that actually Visegrad is going to open their own residencies for Visegrad, for Berlin, and for London. Which I would see more problematic, because they should make at least a franchise or something. But they are going to kind of take again the role of the nation states, which are paying for their residents to someone abroad. So the money will actually not be here, that they would cooperate with someone here to create it, but they are going to just directly pay to Berlin or to London to some like a triangle or some kind of wealthy institution with doing residencies on key with all the results given at the end. So. But again, it's super cool at Visegrad. If there would not be Visegrad, there would be no movement. Like I think it would be really.
There one more thing he was asking how we are selecting, and I found that most of the applications are extremely boring because we got the PDF with 5 pages of images, 2 pages of a text, and the link to website. But I think in age of YouTube and Facebook, it's so easy to make a short video where artist explain his work or explain his aims, we got a really lot of applications, and it's not easy to understand sometimes what this artist's intention. And this is something what, of course, everybody have to teach. Also, we have to develop our presentations. but if the artist,
to look at our websites,
I think it's so easy to attract as an artist do something really exciting. It's a question how to sell, how to explain what he is doing. But I found like when we got all this boring PDF, which it's really hard to
sometimes to get the folder where there is a folder A, folder B, folder C, where the folder A there is the picture one, there is a Word file with the description.
And it's very difficult to understand who is this artist, and if he's coming from other art scene and I never heard about him. It's really very difficult for us to say that this should be great to take this one. So sometimes we select artist which is able to make a good presentation.
Yes.
But it's a part of the job phase. It's everywhere like that. So you cannot.
From where you got the most applications to your institution?
It depends how much we advertise. Most artists are asking if we have some call for residents, because there are many artists all around the world that hear somewhere that you have a residency, so they are applying without any call for applications. But of course in Visegrad countries they hear more about us because it's this good funding body.
But you're also searching for the possibility to step forward or to widen your connections and to invite artists, for example, from South America, as I heard. No?
Puerto Rico.
It was actually from New York, but because this guy's
it's from Puerto Rico.
But we are trying. But anyway, as our residential exchange, we always get only 5 artists which are already pre-selected. But but if I can speak about the New York residency, where there is really open call, then of course the biggest amount is from Poland. It's like a much bigger country with much bigger art scene. But actually, please, if you are here, some Hungarian, apply for the New York next year. It was very sad this year, the selection. Yeah? So please, more good art. Yeah? There was like 20 people only, and it's 3 months in New York with 4,000 euro scholarship.
Yes.
Yeah? And it was very bad awards. Please, no more like techno-realism paintings, or things like that. Yeah? So.
Okay. Some more questions? Because I think we should close soon, but it would be still nice to see from our side that in what ways could we improve at least the residency exchange that's happening in the frame of Visegrad, or maybe in the frame of anything else. So how to improve that?
At the beginning, there was Alberto Di Stefano who decided to make a big application for Visegrad for residency exchange. So his idea was not only to run a residence, but to make a common show of all residents from all Visegrad countries. But this project was supported by Visegrad, and next year they realized a new program from Visegrad. residencies, and I have a feeling that they totally forgot this, what was invented at the beginning by this group like Studio, Zamek, Ujezdowski, Futura and Space, that we should make something together with all our residents we had, and now that this process doesn't allow us to do, but it should be also another level of residencies if they should maybe collaborate together with not only one institution but with other institutions. Maybe some residents visited few of these institutions already, but there's no collaboration. Maybe it is the question of money, maybe the question of our goodwill that now we are here and we will in the evening make some exhibition together.
Yeah, let's go for the European grant. That will be small, at least 200,000 euros. We make it.
Yeah. Sorry, this question is to all of you. Just easier for me to focus on the long distance than to close, but this question is to all of you.
And exactly as you were asking, how can you, if we communicate with the partners about the applications, and what Michal was saying, we want to see good art, or really, because you have a lot of members, if I understand correctly, then it would be nice to push the members also, first of all, to apply, but to prepare relevant portfolios, to have some body of work that they could show, if you, like from your side, if you support them, and then in the process of making their works, and then in the process of applying for the residency, or if you know that you are in touch with Futura and you kind of know their profile, you are in touch with us and you kind of know our profile, to recommend people who you think might be relevant for the profile as it might be interesting for us. Because also, for example, unfortunately we had a very similar situation as Michal was saying, that we, in our open call, we had some amount of people applying from Hungary, and also some people who were members of the studio, and many of the applications were either we just couldn't understand because they were not, the proposal was not logical or something, or it just didn't fit into our profile at all. So many of the applications were not relevant.
Yeah, I'm actually worried that it's going to be more and more, and again I don't want to say but that it's going to be actually more and more like the case of meat factories, that this kind of exchange sharing model which has been established here is going to slowly disappear, and it's going to be again only for the wealthy nations sending the residents all around the world to promote their culture, because we will not be able to afford. Already in the case of space, in the case of Futura, we are already struggling, and for us the residence is a black hole. Yeah, with the money just go and nothing gets out of it. But we still kind of try to keep it. So the same for the artists who are here, go there, apply. Even if you get refused, apply again. Work on your portfolio. Even if there are maybe no money to life and you think you cannot leave your flat here or your job, try it. It might not last. And you will not be able to go. And anywhere anywhere in Western Europe or in US, it's there are 400, 500 people applying for one residency just to get, even they would pay, to get somewhere, because it's really something important. And here, still in the frame of the Visegrad 4, you have it really on the plate, even for many things. So, but the people kind of, I don't know why, because they are shy or they're not used to go, they don't apply, or if they get refused, they never reapply. I really rarely see that someone would reapply who would be one refused. But if we are taking one out of, I don't know, in the frame of the New York, it was maybe, sometimes it was 60, 70 people. There is no objectivity, cannot be. And actually this year was selected one resident from Poland which was refused 3 years ago. So it's even if you get refused, try again, And it is very important, I think. At least till it's still here. It might not be, So
we'll forward this message to our hundreds of members. And well, I think it makes complete sense, and it's very useful for us as well to know how to frame, at least from our side, the process of application. Okay, I think it's getting late and we're getting to the end, but if there's anything you always wanted to ask but never dared to
about residencies.
or if you want to thank us for being here.
We want to thank you for
inviting us.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you
as well for coming on this beautiful spring evening.
In Prague it's not
I think
spring.
we still, we pack and then we take some drinks, maybe, I don't know. So there's still opportunity to talk. Yeah, but let's close this part. So thanks a lot, and hope for fruitful collaborations in the future.
But do you have, this was my question, do you have some ideas how to make a better collaboration? Is you ask this?
But I don't know, this is what I was trying to figure out, is how to make something more sensible for a person who travels somewhere. And from my experiences, which are not art residences, but often 2 or 3 months in a country, if not more, but sometimes it's 3 months. And so what makes the experience unforgettable for me, or defining for me in terms of career or network or personal life or whatever. So I think, yes, it's a big challenge for an institution to frame a person who comes professionally, personally, scene-wise. I don't have any recipes, but I think communication and understanding the other's desires and expectations is definitely part of the game, and I think we maybe it's the way our organizations are structured, but we hardly take the time of to put a lot of energy into this part of the process, because we're not paid for this, we're not da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not part of the whole the timeline of things that we should spend a lot of time discussing with the other organizations, with the people. So I think maybe it has to be better built in this timeline or the scheduling of the residency process. Is it an answer?
Yeah, it is an answer.
Maybe you have suggestions. Or you? I think that we have to. Yeah, sorry.
Nobody speak about. I think most artists are also a little bit frustrated by residencies in a way. By actually, for most people, it seems like it's very hard to get one, and you kind of have to be in a way at their disposal. And I think most residencies tend to forget that they should be at the artist's disposal. And I think this time organization has to be also related a little bit more to working with the democratization of the process, and to kind of coming back to the basics, and to just, make a simple collaboration and have an experience abroad in a way that is really related to your project and to exchange. I'm afraid this is a little bit lost. I mean, this is policies, funding, ticking some boxes, and I think maybe the basics is somewhere else. At least from our standpoint, because we kind of have to deal with these basics for every artist in particular. So we kind of do it for the fun of it, that's strange. We don't have to tick any boxes. And I don't know, maybe that's a problem as well, that maybe. Do you feel that you have a chance to get a residency, and you just do you feel that? Do you actually feel that you apply? No, really, I mean, don't look at me like I'm crazy. I think you understand what I mean. Do you have hope for that? Or does it feel like it's something that somebody else always gets?
I guess they don't, because otherwise they would have been already in the residency.
No, but this is, there is this kind of, difference between high nose and kind of reality.
But yeah, but still, let's say that of course it's a lottery, yeah. There is no objectivity, you never know, and so on. But still, good to try, yeah. I would say, because it's still a bit. The chances are still higher than it might be, or than it's somewhere else.
If you don't apply, the chances are lower.
For example, I was trying 3 times, and now I'm here. So.
Yes, you have a living example. It can happen.
A good example.
But also the question is that like applying for residency requires a completely different set of skills, like making your portfolio. And again, this is.
And I would actually have. Sorry.
Well, at least for me, because we require some documents that has to have some format, blah blah blah. Then many of the artists apply for the funding themselves. But okay, we give them assistance, but they have to budgets, blah blah blah, project proposals. So it's also a.
Yeah, this was. Do you think?
It's also very important training for artists. Because my portfolio at the beginning was terrible, but I already participated in more than 10 residency programs. And then at the beginning, really, my explanation was terrible. But through this rejected, kind of unselected, I changed my way of presentation, and I'm now getting better. I don't think good, but my portfolio become small.
Small?
Yeah, it's not the 20. But we have one last question to everybody about the writing. If you think that the artist should propose a project prior to going to the residency, or if you think that they should be just selecting upon their previous work, portfolio.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, but yes. Go on. You were first.
So I'm an artist, and for me that's a problem to come up with a specific project, because my work process is different. So I prefer to go somewhere, and then I really believe that I will do something from my previous experiences, but sometimes if we are not really, so I'm not that project related, that I have the project like 10, slides or whatever, and then I explain what will happen, and sometimes I feel that as a pressure that I should know the future in this sense, and then it can, sometimes I just get frustrated of that I feel like it's always like very, very rational in this way. So, and I know it should be. I can write quite logically, so that not means I cannot explain things. But for me, it can be like frustrating. I just don't want to do it sometimes, just to explain all over again such things. But then, maybe then it's my fault, and then I'm not getting. But I've already had residencies, but not of yours. So I thought that's the question.
No, it was in general.
No.
And where have you been? Actually?
In Rome.
In Rome. And where in Rome?
Well, I think it was the Academy of Hungarian Academy.
And for how long?
For 2 months.
And you were happy about it?
Yes, it was very great. And then it had, but Simona said that it has a longer effect on my art. So it's not like that I was there for 2 months and then I worked, but actually I just got the impressions. But of course, if I was forced to do something, then I should have some kind of result, because sometimes it's good to have this pressure when you are there, and then when you already know that you have to do something. But it was also good that I was not forced to make any kind of result at the end as an art piece. So that's mine.
For me, it's always a question like, why is the short period? I mean, I'm much smaller than to be able to do something. I'm slow in general, here at home as well. But like to apply somewhere and you stay, and I don't know, the first month it's kind of preparation just to get fit in somehow. I don't know, or get socialized. And the second month, then you feel comfortable, like, wow, okay, I know where to go to buy this or that or that or that. And then the third month, maybe you can start to really work, like, and then I don't know. Then you need to leave.
Yes, that's the end of the love story usually.
I just graduated 1.5 years ago here in Budapest, but so I haven't had too much chance to apply for residency. But yeah, but that was the other reason why I haven't applied, because of this short term. Because when I got the Erasmus in Athens, I had stayed there for 3 months, and then I stayed for 1 more year. Like, so I've been there for more than a year.
But it would
and it was in 2008, and I'm still working on a video at the moment, which is about Athens. And yeah, it's affected my work. Yeah.
But yeah, of course it would be beautiful, but I mean you have to understand again that the people are paying for the residency, they don't want to live in the country, they want to just be there exactly the 3 months and go back, you know. So of course it would be nice if the residency would be, but that's not the aim of the state, who is usually supporting those things or any funders. But still, my question, do you think about the proposals, project proposals?
I mean, it was a hidden question.
Yeah.
Like, can't you last the residencies longer? Like,
sometimes they do actually. There are some residencies that last 6 months. Yeah. There are some residencies you can go for 1 to 3 years. But it works differently.
I know 1 year maximum. I don't know more than 1 year. But you can. There are some, like in New York, they send people for 1 year sometimes. But again,
it's called scholarships and not residency programs.
No, but in New York, 1 year means 3 years. So.
No, but for instance, art in general, it's like 1 year and it's a residence.
And mostly educational
but I think
institutions give this possibility to artists. These non-profit institutions through their supporting system can give this one residency program. But it must be enough to get closer to that art scene, I guess. Find some connection or build some collaborations.
And it's the same for us. That's why I told you. Like when we finally start to, when I at least can speak for myself, and I start to know the artist is leaving. You know, it's always at the end that we finally get close to each other and the discussion are deeper, and he's already leaving. But somehow that's you know, that's life. It's also this kind of, as much as that you never know who is gonna come. It's like when you go to a bar, you don't know who you're gonna meet. You know, so it's the same. And might even be only one night stand. You know, I mean sometimes. No, but you wanted to say something?
I was just thinking maybe of I think the answer is in the middle, in a way, because you have to have an idea, and I think because it's 3 months and it's not going to be longer, you must have a sort of project proposal that kind of, it's not for the people who tick the boxes, but even for the artist who comes, I think it's good to have that. I mean, even if it's just a general sort of idea. It's important to have. I don't think.
I actually disagree. We never do this. We've been doing it, and I read so many Kafka, you know, and all this about Prague. And for me, it's a bit like silly to ask someone who has never been in the place to tell you what he's gonna do there. And speaking that, for me, it's sort of this kind of annoying activity which I hate myself. Yeah. And I really dream about a world where finally the money will be given not for the future, but for what you have done, just according to your past. That you don't have to write what will I be doing,
but you just that you pay for both. No, I mean the money is for both.
Yes,
anyway.
Yes, sure. But why to? You know, I don't know. But I can understand. Maybe also.
No, but for Bucharest, it is a very specific residency because they.
But don't you also read like bullshit? How to the people who have never been there, for example, and they are from I don't know Berlin or Hamburg. What they are writing you like? What's there? Are they just falling into some stereotypes because they don't know what is going to be? They're going to Google Wikipedia Bucharest and they see, I don't know, stray dogs. I want to save those 100,000 stray dogs on the streets of Bucharest or something like that. Right?
Yeah, yes, you're right.
Yeah, so they.
But in the meanwhile, from the side of the people who tick the boxes, I think it's still nice to see how someone's able or willing to formulate a project, because it might not be the same project, or might not be a project in the end at all, but it's nice to see that somebody is, you know, envisioning a process, even if it's not going to happen.
But even though we don't ask, sometimes the people send it, yeah, because they think it could be better for them, so they attach. Mm-hmm. And for example, for the New York residency, it's required, but I mean, never in the jury nobody has ever looked at this. Yeah, it's only the portfolio which are being discussed. So it sometimes also they take it.
For all the Visegrad grants, we had the project.
Yeah. But again, they look only at the portfolio. Yeah. So don't be worried also to apply for the Visegrad. If you write blah blah, you can get it. Like, yeah, it's fine. This year again, the Polish artist who goes to New York, she writes, I want to do my work. For my work, I have to be in New York. It was her project. That's it, and she got it. You know, and nobody really tried to question whether it was meaningful.
But the thing for you is quite different then, because you require for your residents to bring a project that has connections with Bucharest, with the Romanian social context.
As generic as possible. I mean, it's not necessarily so fixated on that. But
because when I spoke to Tudor about it, he told me it must be really related to our situation. It cannot be. We are not going to take an artist just for his portfolio, but it's really related to the project.
Well, it's just how it is at this point. But I was not necessarily thinking of our situation, which is specific. But even in I don't know. I think maybe I'm just fascinated with bureaucracy and words.
But we might enjoy them soon as well.
I just have a short question to you, Rai, that how this incubator house or aquarium in the middle of the city, or this movable windowed gallery, is it change somehow your residency programs, or you have a flat somewhere in Paris where you can invite the residency, the artist, and so is it somehow changed?
No, I decided to redefine my life and my work, and that's why I was happy that I closed the gallery, but then the sponsor appeared, which allowed me to continue with the gallery. And I mentioned at the beginning that we rented a room in a house where other artists are living. So this was something that we changed in the process of communication with resident and his. And at the moment we are discussing with Viktor Kotun because he made a project for this container.
Yeah,
so he really wants to use it. Just his residency is February, March, April, and we start in May. But we definitely want to give him this space for a project.
Yeah, so this space is open for the residents.
But not each resident got a space from us. Like this was problematic because we couldn't do it this way before. So now it's look easier with this easy structure.
Okay, sounds good and very promising. Thank you very much.
This is a good word for the project proposals. No, sorry.
Go on discussing.
Yeah, let's do it informally. Thanks a lot again. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.